The first thing we're going to do is remove several metal plates which cover connectors for the battery, front panel, and other components. We'll then disconnect the battery and remove the front panel. Now, the overall hardware layout is the same as on the iPhone 6. There's a speaker and lightning connector assembly at the bottom, battery along the left side, motherboard along the right, and the camera assembly at the top. One change we can see, however, is Apple's new Taptic engine. Sitting below the battery, it replaces the older phone's vibration mechanism and is slightly larger, which means the speaker next to it needed to be just a bit smaller. Also smaller, at least in terms of capacity, is the 6S's battery, which is rated at 1,715 milliamp hours compared to the 6S's 1,810 milliamp hours. Now, despite this reduction, Apple claims battery life on the 6S will be the same as it was on the older phone. Turning our attention to the new front panel assembly, we find the new 3D Touch display, a 5-megapixel FaceTime camera, which is an upgrade over the older phone's 1.2 megapixel unit, sensors, an earpiece speaker, and the improved home button. While I would usually remove the battery as part of our teardown, I'm going to leave it in place as I remove the other components. Now, this will keep me from having to glue it back in later. Now, the first component to come out is the new iSight camera, which has been upgraded to 12 megapixels and can now shoot 4K video at 30 frames a second. A small antenna comes out next, and then after removing a few screws, dealing with a new hex head standoff, and attaching the remaining connectors, we can lift out the motherboard. Now, unfortunately, the shields that cover the iPhone 6S's motherboard are soldered in place, obscuring our view of the new A9 processor and M9 motion coprocessor that's built in, and most of the other chips. As I want to put this phone back together in working order, I'm going to leave the shields in place. The last pieces to come out are the speaker assembly and the Taptic engine. Still attached to the case are the headphone and lightning connector assembly, volume buttons, ringer switch, power button, and a slew of connector wires. Now, most of these components are held to the case with both screws and adhesive. If any of these components were damaged,